Welcome in. It is Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need, visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts in Indianapolis. We have a lot to talk about. That is for sure. Yeah. Doc, how are you?
I'm good, man. Y'all doing all right despite that?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It wasn't, it ended up being a little bit more fun, a little bit more competitive, maybe a little intrigue. I know that, but they had the chance to get the ball back when they need, and they failed to do it.
They fell short.
Kind of the whole story of this season, the story of this defense. They failed to get the stop because of critical plays. And, at least it was, became entertaining.
Yeah. So then I'll go. I'll go first. As usual, I got to start with something positive. And I think to your point, Zach, is that first and fourth quarter shows a team of resiliency that's competitive, that wants to win football games. And if you're a fan, even if you're having a down year and you're having a losing record, I want to see guys competing to the very end. And I thought that middle football wasn't ideal, but the beginning and the end,
middle football,
the second and third
terrible.
Quarter, that was terrible.
Yeah.
But the fourth quarter, there was a bit of resiliency to this team. They battled back when I was just ready to turn it off and come to the studio. Like, it's over.
So what does that mean to you as a former player to watch a team down 38-7 with nothing to play for,
right.
three wins on the season, fight back to 38-30? What does that mean to you as a former player?
To me, that shows it means something to them still. They still got that competitive spirit. They could have easily just shut it down, let them run out the clock, and then went on and get ready for the offseason.
Yeah.
But that team fought, and that speaks volume to the Callahan as well.
That was my next question.
Yeah, and then the other positive is you can't blame Levis for this. So we're not going to have to field all those questions. You can't blame Levis for this.
I actually was wondering if they might put him in when it got to 38-7.
I really wondered as well.
And they cut to a shot of Rudolph throwing. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I really wondered if they were going to do that.
Yeah.
Because I would have played Levis, honestly.
Might as well at that point. He still needs the reps.
Yeah. And I wanted to see how he responds to last week with the 5 possessions, 4 turnovers, a 3-and-out where you lose 15, and get benched. I wanted to see him react to that. But neither here nor there.
Do you think that gives you a little bit more clear answer of what they think of Levis? Because I kind of feel like,
it tells me they're done with him.
Yeah. To me, I'm with you. I was like, might as well just put him in. It can't get worse.
To see what else he got in his bag.
But what if he plays well the 3 weeks at the end of the season, and then you trade him? Because there's some bad quarterbacks that got traded in the offseason where you actually got draft capital.
Yeah. And somebody's probably has enough. I'm going to use the word arrogance, but I don't mean it like that. Arrogance in them to believe they can transform him into being whatever. You know what I mean? Like, get him here. I got him.
Because he has arm talent.
He does.
So the confidence level, I guess, of some of these offensive minds in the league are like, give me that arm talent. I'll make him.
Quarterback. Exactly.
You had people trade for Kenny Pickett. He doesn't even have arm talent.
Desmond Ritter.
Sam Howell. There's a long list of quarterbacks that got traded last offseason.
And Giants is I don't know who's in a worse situation between the Titans and the Giants at this point. So it's going to be interesting the offseason as far as quarterback moves on that end of it. Does he have value to somebody where they can make a deal, maybe get something out of it? Because, like you said, I think the writing's on the wall considering what happened earlier in the week and today by him not going in at all.
The Giants lost 34-7 to the Falcons. Drew Lock was 22 of 39, 210, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Currently have the number 1 pick, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Giants got the number 1 pick just because Vegas hasn't played yet.
Vegas and Jacksonville are going right now. Wouldn't you love to be just tied to a chair in duct tape having to watch that game?
Oh, my God, no. No, that's
I mean, we're basically watching that game next week.
That's exactly right.
We're not duct taped to a chair. I mean, we're watching that game next week
just to see how the draft.
By the way, we'll keep you updated. Jaguars Raiders 0-0 in the first quarter. 2:57 to go in the first. How does that game affect where the Titans are? Let's go ahead and put that out there. Draft order.
They're locked into fourth no matter the outcome of this game. But
the Titans right now would pick fourth.
We'll pick fourth. Now that also depends. New England, which currently has a lead on that, but like at worst,
they're about to have first and goal, trying to go up 14.
There you go. At worst, they're finishing fourth. At best, they'll finish third. Now, here's the thing: you should be rooting for Vegas because if Vegas wins, they go from first overall pick all the way back to seventh.
Wow.
So they fall because they have a strong strength of schedule thanks to Kansas City having one of the best seasons in the NFL. So the worse your strength of schedule is, the higher your draft pick in terms of ties. Yeah. So they'll fall all the way back to seventh, and they're a team that needs a quarterback, much like you. So you want as many of those teams behind you.
Man,
right.
there's a log jam with 3 wins.
Yeah. If the Raiders win, they are a 3-win team. The Jaguars would remain a 3-win team, and the Titans are a 3-win team.
Yeah. So Jags would still be ahead of you, but you would at least have one quarterback, needy team behind you.
Yeah. Yep. Oh wow. That's drama to the end of the season.
Drama. Titans Talkback, Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. We are here with you until 6:30 if you want in and you want to offer your opinion about what you saw in this football team. The Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts. 615-737-1045. Let's break for 10 seconds for a legal ID. This is 1045 The Zone. Titans Talkback with Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, Kevin Dyson, 615-737-1045. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Let's go to Eric first up today on Titans Talkback. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. First of all, I want to wish you guys and all the listeners and everybody out there a very Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoy it with your family and your friends out there.
Merry Christmas, Eric.
Hey, guys, before I get to my thoughts on the game today, there's one thing I feel like I need to say, because I know after I get off, there's going to be other callers calling in saying, I want to hear from Rand, I want to hear from Amy. Let me say this, guys. I'd be very surprised if you hear from them now. I believe they're not going to say anything until after the season's over.
There's no reason right now.
Yeah. At the earliest, it will probably be the day after that Tuesday, so you're just not going to hear anything, and then I would be surprised if we did hear anything from them. So that's my thoughts on that.
By the way, Eric, before you make your point, New England did score a touchdown. They are up on Buffalo 14-0, trying to get that 4th win of the season.
Divisional games.
That is certainly a real surprise. I think everybody thought, including me, the last 2 games are going to probably be double-digit favorites because they play the Patriots again in 2 weeks.
The significance there with 2 games to go is what Zach said, that the Titans would move up to 3rd, and then Jackson made the point, well, that gives you Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, or Travis Hunter if you end up picking 3rd.
Yeah. Do you feel good about being in 3rd, Eric?
Well, I don't know. It would also depend on whether or not they want to come here. They may not want to come here. So, but anyway, guys, as far as today's game, guys, I tell you what, I was really, really surprised that the defensive line got pushed around as much as they did. I think Jonathan Taylor, if I'm not mistaken, was this his first 100-yard game against the Titans? Well, of course, it was 200 yards. And the way he was running, I thought, he had over 200 yards rushing, I thought Taylor was going to get 300 yards. It's just, I was stunned the defensive line just got pushed and just got worked and I'm not saying that they gave up or anything like that, especially after the speech that Callahan gave about the team being soft, and a lot of people feel like they play inspired, but of course that didn't happen. But guys, one last thing, and I'll get off. And of course, one of the big things I thought was I got a kick out of is one of the things that everybody's been talking about around here is that Calvin Ridley is not the number 1 wide receiver. I've heard people say it, like some of the guys like in the media and other people say it. But the thing was so hilarious. He called a pass to the 2 commentators on the TV said Calvin Ridley is the number 1 receiver, and I started laughing. I said, but not a lot of people feel that around here. Just thought you'd get a kick out of that. Guys, as always, take care, tighten up. We'll talk to you again soon, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Eric. 615-737-1045. These are Jonathan Taylor's 6 previous games against the Titans. Again, 29 carries, 218 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor today. Against the Titans in his career, 6 for 18, 10 for 58, 20 for 42. His best game, 16 for 70 and 1 touchdown. That was in 2021. 10 for 64, 7 for 12. So coming in, 3.8 yards per carry, just 44 yards per game in 6 games against the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is kind of reminiscent of that Commanders game that, the scheme are very similar. The rushing schemes are very similar. And when you have 2 rookie inside linebackers and 2 undrafted free agent safeties, basically, if those deep safeties are having to play deep because of the deep ball threat of Anthony Richardson, which means that they have to be super careful taking those run fit angles when they decide to run the ball, because you can't get beat on the play action deep pass either. And they just weren't. There's a lot of times your safeties took the wrong angles and poor tackling. But, that is some of the issues that they kind of present in this run scheme. And they kind of just said, hey, They got these safeties, these linebackers in. We poked Tavondre Sweat in the eye, so we're just going to keep on running this ball.
That was ugly, man.
Yeah.
He couldn't even open his eye.
He looked like a Tony Lister Jr. from the guy from Friday.
R.I.P.
When he was coming out, he was like, looked like he got stung in the the eye. But like
Debo, yeah,
they just pushed him around.
Rest in peace, a lot of guys in that movie.
Yeah,
man, right? And Ricky Henderson,
Ezel.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Buck Rising tweeted this. 281 was the worst rushing total allowed in 26 years of the Titans era. They gave up 335 today.
Yeah.
335. Anthony Richardson completed 7 passes. He only threw 11. So he
scored 38 points.
Yes. Yeah. And he was over 50% passing today. Was only the 3rd time all year he's been over 50%. 615-737-1045. Paul in Franklin. Paul, what's up?
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Yo, good.
Well, first of all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes, sir.
Get that out of the way. All right. Now, second of all, no, absolutely not. I'm an old school Titan fan. I ain't one of these newbies who don't know football. Okay? Y'all can forget that. I've called in 1,000,000 times. Look, we are tired of this as a Titan fan base. This product on the field is not acceptable, okay? We're building a $2 billion stadium that we have spent our money in the past supporting this program, and we've been told to be, okay, you got to be patient. You got to be patient. Well, no. That's fine. We've been patient. Doctor, we've been patient enough. All right? Now listen to me. It's becoming a thing of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, okay? We've got to change everything that's going on right now. The coaching, the talent, and everything. But I'm going to tell you one thing right now, Mayor. I'm going to be honest with you, brother.
All right.
I'm a Tennessee Titan all the way.
Tough weekend.
It is a product of coaching. This coaching is not acceptable. We are not getting prepared week to week to play. Y'all know it, and I know it, and we're not going to beat around the bush anymore. We're going to have to change what we're doing because this product is unacceptable. Hey, I'm just telling the truth. God bless y'all. Go Vols and go Titans.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you, man. 615-737-1045. I'm just not that guy to call for somebody's job 1 year in. That's just not me.
Well, and to be fair, calling for everybody's job's fine. I'm with you. If that's your prerogative, I think there's a compelling case for it.
Doing what we do, we're free speech people.
Yeah. But it's let me tell you something. It's not going to fix anything that's going on right now because guess what? You're going to then have to start all over from ground zero again. No quarterback solution in sight. At least you will have stability of culture, stability of foundation that they have built to carry over. But then you're talking about new GM, new head coach, new quarterback, all in the same year, new schemes all across the way, new defensive coordinator all across the way.
You knew what you were getting into when you hired this group.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be any better.
You knew you were hiring a guy that hadn't called plays before, that hadn't been a head coach before, and that he didn't bring this quarterback in here.
Yeah.
So how much can you read from Callahan in terms of play calling, 15 games in,
right,
based on what we've seen with the offensive line and quarterback play and how handcuffed you are?
Yeah, and I think Callahan has fell victim to the downfall of Vrabel and the decline from when the Titans started losing at the end of his regime. And they still haven't recovered from those lean years. And then the product on the field this year, the turnovers, the penalties, the lack of scoring production, the ups and downs of the defense, the special teams ups and downs. I think Callahan's lack of grace comes from Titans fans being tired of what was seemingly happening is what we're at now, is that valley's pretty low right now, right?
Yeah, and that's valid.
Yes, yeah. And so
his point was valid.
You got to dig. They're going to have to dig themselves up and climb back up and get to the peak. And the Titans fans I'm tired of waiting on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we live in a culture,
too,
right? When we live in a culture of instant gratification,
that's right. What's the best way to go about getting where you want to get? Is that flipping all of it again 2 years in a row?
In my opinion, you can't do that, because then you're starting that whole process all over. Lightning striking twice in a bottle happens rarely. So the McVay, what happened with him happens rarely. But he had a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? And again, I use this example, I think last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, the example of the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions were in the garbage can in the NFL for how many years before the last 2 years? Before they took the time to build to the draft.
Dan Campbell started 3-13, then started 0-6 in year two.
Yes. And now
he was 3-19 in his first 22
and
games.
They built to the draft. They got some free agencies. They got people to buy in. Now they have a culture that they're considered the favorite in the NFC. Even with all the injuries, they still went out there and dominated today. So, again, I know it's hard to be patient. It's even hard even saying that, because where we have been the past 3-4 years. But now that you got a whole new regime, I think the mantra should be patience with one eye open. Like, how much more patient do I need to be? Can I get it? I get it as somebody who rooting for them as well, wanting to win. I mean, they go to Super Bowl. This city, football is king, man. The whole city transforms.
Well, if they bring Callahan back, then he starts 2025 on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very warm. That seat is very, very warm. I look at it like this: from 2018 to 2024, the 11 teams that are the least efficient teams in the NFL during that time span are the Raiders, Jaguars, Giants, Panthers, Cardinals, Falcons, Commanders, Texans, Dolphins, Jets, Browns.
That makes sense, right?
And guess what? Most of those are still your least efficient teams in 2024. Exactly. So you look at it this way, those 11 teams averaged 3.5 head coaching changes during that time, 2.4 GM changes, and 3.6 quarterback changes.
That, again, to me, that's data that shows you that change is not always going to be the answer.
Yeah. I think that in the NFL, stability does breed success.
Yeah.
But that also does not mean that Brian Callahan has an immunity idol, right? This regime should not be safe just because you want stability too. So I understand it. It sounds like I'm playing both sides.
No, I'm kind of doing the same.
I understand the fans' perspective.
Oh, for sure.
And I know I'm asking for something that is illogical on its face, because I'm asking you to have belief in a 3-12 team that just put up that kind of showing on defense. But at the end of the day, this team is rebuilding, and this is part of rebuilding. You're going to have to rebuild from phase one again if you change all that out.
Everything out. And I think I'm doing the same thing, talking out both sides of my neck, because I get it.
Yeah, because it's a very easy case. There's a folder. You have two folders. You have a folder over here for stability and a folder over here for firing, and that firing folder is very thick.
Yeah, and I wasn't one when Vrabel took over. I thought, man, be careful what you ask for, because you're going to start back over. And it was kind of the same kind of chatter. We got to get rid of Malarkey. He can't win. And we just went to the playoffs for the first time in however long it was between that period, and he won a game, and they still let him go. And I was like, okay, be careful what you ask for, because it doesn't always happen where you immediately have success. Now, Vrabel proved me wrong because he came in, had some early success very early, but we saw the decline, and then it kept going down. He can never recover and get back to the pinnacle.
They're still paying for some of those draft decisions.
Exactly.
During that regime, I mean, who knows what Amy Adams Strunk is going to do? Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, she lets coaches go after playoff wins.
That's what I said after the Jags game. I said it ain't out of the realm of possibility.
You did. I just think.
Well, you also probably didn't think these last two games would go the way they did.
Right. I mean, you look at it, it's 38-30, okay, but like, you did say that. When you look at it logically, to me, like, she hired a head coach with no coaching experience or no head coaching experience and hadn't called plays before. Yeah. She knew what she was getting into.
That's why I don't think it's on the table.
To me, that's why I don't think it'll happen either, because I think she went into that decision that was a big picture decision. That wasn't a snap it off.
That's what you have to
hope. And I'm thinking the conversation is, let's build this thing together. We got new stadium coming, exciting. We're trying to get Super Bowl. Let's build this thing together. I think
that product on the field has to be a little bit better these last 2 weeks.
I think we all agree with that. They need to be a little more consistent.
Because that means an owner can change their mind like that.
Yeah.
I do have a positive note when we come back. And more of your phone calls, your reaction. Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts in Indianapolis. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. We are here with you until 6:30. 615-737-1045. Titans Talkback. Presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. It is Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson, all here until 6:30, walking you up to Sunday Night Football. And that would be Tampa Bay at Dallas. Tampa Bay, a 4-point favorite on the road. Westwood One coverage begins at 6:30. 615-737-1045. The Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts in Indianapolis. Mild positive nugget for you.
Okay.
The Titans had gone 38 consecutive games without scoring 30 points or more until September 30th at Miami when they scored 31. Now they've scored 30 or more in 3 of their last 12 games with this mess that's going on. Before this season, they had gone 2 complete seasons without scoring 30 or more.
Wow. Does that speak to Callahan's potential as a play caller?
I mean,
maybe.
It's really hard to put this on this particular loss on Brian Callahan right now. This was defense and Denard Wilson and run fits and rookies and personnel.
I mean, 2 rookie inside linebackers.
Yeah.
You got a country music singer playing safety.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. And last week, I give him a pass last week as well. What are you going to do? Guy makes poor decisions and
you're right.
Turns the ball over.
Let me ask you a question, because you were talking, your positive nugget was no quit. Now, there are people already in the chat saying it, and I can already imagine callers all day tomorrow are going to say it in response to any of us bringing up that bit of positivity. Mm-hmm. That is that was a facade. The comeback is just a fake comeback. It doesn't really matter because the Colts were doing this kind of defense or playing this kind of style of defense. What do you say to that, to those people?
Okay, typically when you got a big lead like that, you're running the football, you're running out the clock. They haven't run the whole daggone game.
Yeah.
So the Titans had to figure out something, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't like they just throwing the ball over the field and had to start running around the clock. They were getting beat up front physically for about 2.5 quarters. So take that away, that they started being more physical and aggressive at the point of attack. That to me, because again, I go back to, it is easy in that moment to just go through your assignments, and do what you're supposed to do and just get on and go home. I think the common noise, if you will, that I hear from fans and even on this show and what you guys probably hear is they seem to quit. They didn't. It's not that. So they just got their butts whooped, unfortunately. Yeah. But then whatever happened, they figured some things out. Probably Denard got a little more aggressive. Maybe they started doing some slants and things like that, some gaming up front. I'm not exactly sure, but they did something that woke them up. Whether it was the Colts really didn't care, they were just running the football to run on the clock, or the Titans got more physical at the point of attack and started making some plays, getting them off the field.
Right, the Colts didn't really change what they were doing offensively.
And
they ran
that could be part of it. They didn't change what they were doing.
Yards.
Yeah.
And 4 touchdowns, by the way.
And most of that was in the second and third quarters.
When they built the 38-7 lead. They took Jonathan Taylor out of the game.
Yeah.
For 2 series, and that's part of why Tennessee was able to
get back in it.
Yeah. Tony Pollard, by the way, another positive note, sets his career high with 1,017 yards this season. He's got 2 games to go. Just wanted to point that out because it's been fun to watch him run the football. He gets everything out of a run. Yeah. Everything.
And where's Calvin Ridley at? Not to change the subject, but he's closing in on 1,000, right?
3 for 78 today with a touchdown.
So he's probably still 200 yards out.
About 200 out.
So still within.
Within reason.
Still within the eyesight. We'll see.
I just only say that just because the positive.
He's at 857.
857. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So 143. I mean, I think of a season of disappointments and things of that nature. The shining light is, I think you got 2 interior linemen on the defense side of football that together they're going to be formidable. That's going to be a hard team to run on. You get the scheme together, get guys on the outside that can complement them, because that's been a struggle this year.
Yeah, the edge has been terrible.
Linebacker health, obviously. Secondary
2
health
rookie
is
inside linebackers today. That leads to some of that 335.
The secondary health, you get guys back. Offensively, the guys solidified that part, the line, quarterback play, and I think Okonkwo is starting to wake up a little bit. He's getting some opportunities and making the most of his opportunities.
So Chig, 9 receptions for 81, coming off 8 for 59 last week. So 17 catches in the last 2 games for Chig. He is 7 receptions away from his career high. Now, Mason Rudolph loves to throw to him because he's checked down Charlie.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
He seems to target him and Ridley a lot. Those are kind of his 2 guys, whereas I don't know if Levis had a guy of late, but that's kind of seems what his 2 guys
He had guys on the other team. Sorry, easy. Slob it up.
Low-hanging fruit, huh?
By the way, if you're keeping up with the draft, New England leading Buffalo 14-7. Josh Allen just threw an interception in the end zone. Mapu tried to bring it out. He did. He brought it out to that 1-yard line.
Oh, man.
Again, football IQ.
Yes, and we'll talk about the 3rd and 8 conversion to Pittman in just a little bit. 615-737.
I didn't mean to make that sound.
1045. Also, in terms of keeping up with the draft prospects, the Raiders lead the Jaguars 10-7. 10:28 to go in the second quarter. So currently the Titans would draft 4th. If the Raiders win, they would move behind the Titans. If the Patriots win, Titans move up to 3. Is that where we are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If New England and New England wins, 3.
Yeah, I know we got to go, but y'all like sitting at 3 with the way the draft's kind of. That's 3 is a good spot.
There's only like 3 or 4 like first round graded players.
If you can, you can guarantee me Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, or Travis Hunter.
That's your 3 or top 4 or 5 right there,
and that's where you would be at 3. Yeah. So
okay.
We'll see how the draft prospects played themselves out, but we'll see. 615-737-1045. Rich in Smyrna. Rich, what's up?
Hey, just curious. When you have a wide receiver who's WR1,
yes,
how many targets should they normally expect to get in a game?
That's a great question. I don't know if you can say a set number just because circumstances may dictate others. There could be some intentional play calling to get him the football or assuming this going to get this coverage and then a sack happens or the coverage changes or something takes him out of the progression. So, but I think it's not outside the realm of possibility to say I can get my number 1 receiver 4 catches. I can scheme him 4 to 5 catches without even blinking.
I think that's a great question from Rich. So today,
I agree.
Calvin Ridley, 3 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown on 5 targets. Now, Chig had 11 targets.
Yeah. And again, it just sometimes that's just the games. There'll be a game where you see
Thank you, Rich.
Somebody like Chase will have 15 to 18, maybe 19 targets.
He's averaging 9. He's basically averaging 10 targets a game right now. So I would think that you want your wide receiver 1 because I'm obviously Jamar Chase is the wide receiver 1. You probably are wanting anywhere from 7 to 10.
7 to 10. And I said
probably really more than that.
You could probably scheme a guy 4 catches, whether it be a screen, just touches. Now, are they impactful touches and you just try and give your guy touches? That's the gaming that you want and that you got to worry about. But I think Callahan calls the plays. I'm sure he schemed up some opportunities for Ridley or whoever.
For sure.
And this got a sack or the quarterback missed it. He went to a check down, didn't give it time to develop. There's all kind of factors to go with that.
615-737-1045. Thank you for the call, Rich. Titans Talkback. Charles in Bellevue. Charles, what's up?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Been listening to y'all for a long time.
Thank you.
Dyson, appreciate what you do for the community and how you've gone about it since you got out of the NFL.
I appreciate you, man.
A couple things. We had a bad draft. We're still paying for it. Robinson was horrible.
I thought you meant this last draft. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I don't think we know about that one. I'm impressed with Sweat and some others, but
Brownlee and
the other day,
Sweat
ESPN
and Latham.
said one of the top 5. Yeah, they said one of the top 5 worst trades in the last 10 years was A.J. Brown, here nor there. But we still got to see what this draft does and give them time. We can't change yet. Next year's draft is weak, and so we might, as y'all have a job to do to talk up the Titans, and we listen. But the next couple of years, we're going to be bad. We might as well try to go out there and fight, but I'd rather us trade some assets and try to have a good team when we get into a new stadium We lost to Anthony Richardson. He only threw 11 times. He's not Joe Montana or Randall Cunningham. And so we might as well just suck it up and realize here's where we're at. And I don't see anything improving. We should give the coach another year. Y'all probably weren't that great when you started on the radio your first year, but you're still here. And so I think they might as well do that. So we might as well just realize we're probably not going to be any better next year. If we get the third pick, take someone on the defense or trade down, and let's see what Rand can do. But I don't think we need to blow it up. And I think we should trade Levis. If we get a 7th-round pick, well, then that's fine. I'll hang up and listen. Appreciate what you guys do, but I don't see us getting any better.
Thanks, Charles.
Would you take
Charles
a 7th round pick for Levis?
What's that?
Would you take a 7th round pick for Levis?
Ooh, I would not. Because I think you can get pretty fair trade value. And listen, it's like maybe you give a 5th in Levis and you get a 4th in return, right?
Yeah. Kenny Pickett was multiple picks.
Yeah.
I think Desmond Ridder was a 7th.
And Pickett was benched the last 6 or 7 games or something like that. So, he didn't play for a long time.
That's a great question. Like, do you bring him back with everything that he's been through to be the backup quarterback?
And this year coming up, as far as pro quarterbacks, is an enigma anyway, just because what is Pittsburgh going to do? What is the Giants going to do? What are the Raiders going to do?
What about Minnesota?
What are they going to do? They got the rookie who hasn't played yet, and Sam Darnold.
They love JJ.
And Darnold's playing well. What are the Jets going to do? I know.
Yeah.
I think that's in the conversation. Who else am I thinking of? New Orleans. Where are they going to do?
That's another one.
That's Colts. I guess they're gonna ride with Richardson, but I
think one more year.
They think they're gonna get him.
Yeah, I did a show up there on Thursday, and that's kind of the thought up there.
Yeah, and then
there are a lot of people that want to move on from him, though.
Listen, I did not know when I'm reading all the headlines, because we had a Colts guest on Cover 2 on Friday, George Brimmer. When I was reading all the headlines up at Colts Media, I'm like, you could just replace some of these words, Colts, put in Titans, and you probably get in the same stuff written down here. And they're only 2 games out of the playoffs at the time.
And I'm gonna give y'all another team to keep an eye on for somebody like Levis. Miami Dolphins. Look what happened there when they lost their starting quarterback. They rotated 3 different guys and couldn't get any offense generated.
They're hard to find, man.
I know. So they're going to be looking for somebody to go behind Tua. So, you got to look at situations like that as well as the complimentary guy. Like, I think Daniel Jones is going to be appetizing to a lot of people as a potential backup.
Yeah.
Because he has played a lot of football and he has a lot of skill sets. Him and Fields, I think, will get a lot of interest. Fields, I think, could still be a starter in this league.
They're talking about $10 million a year kind of deal for Fields. They're talking Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's an important domino, because this is something we talked about with Blaine, is that he's like, think about it. If you're Sam Darnold, what team with a potential opening out of the teams that will have him, which one would you want to go to the most? Well, it'd be Pittsburgh. Besides maybe staying in Minnesota, but you have then a rookie breathing down your neck. The best open competition you got, to a clear path would be Pittsburgh if they choose not to go with Russell Wilson.
What about New Orleans?
I wouldn't go down New Orleans. That's a mess.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of they're kind of like
cool town, though.
Cajun Jets, I guess you could say.
I get it, because Steelers with the culture and winning.
Right.
I get it. Yeah.
You got the defense in there.
Yeah.
You got George Pickens. You got Art Smith.
Yeah.
That would be a great fit for Sam Darnold. And if then that means that Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are on the free agent market. Like, this quarterback market can yield you some competitive results in 2025. It's a lot better than what people think. I think in that regards, if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, is it great? No. Are you going to get Ryan Tannehill 2019, 2020 stuff? No. But are you getting a guy that maybe can get you some wins that you probably couldn't have gotten this year?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think Minnesota may have gone with that intention as well and got Sam Darnold, who is a winning quarterback, as a playoff quarterback now, is having a pretty good year. Probably earned him a nice little bag. So being honest,
it's really weird. I saw Jonathan Jones today say that people expect that Sam Darnold will get $25 million a year, and I'm like, well, that's way less than Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And then they're saying that Steelers will pay their Baker Mayfield contract to Wilson. And then there's people that think that Sam Darnold will command $52 million. Like, I mean, it's kind of, nobody knows what this market really is right now.
615-737-1045. Mike next up. Hey, Mike, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'd just like to leave a comment as usual. We lost another one, but that's good news. We're trading up. So what do you guys think that now Mason Rudolph, who threw 3 interceptions, but I liked him. He did very well in the first half. Now we're going to go down the second half, and we just blow it. And so 3 interceptions. Is he going to be the quarterback? Is Will Levis going to be the quarterback? Is the offensive line going to be the future? We're going into the deep freeze. Amy struck Goddard Stadium, paid for by the taxpayers. It's going to be a beautiful stadium, 2027, domed. Now, do we go to the bottom, which what I think we should do, lose the last 2 games, get at least, hopefully, a first-round pick quarterback? But then who are we going to pick? What quarterback wants to come here? And then what do we do with the offensive line? Who wants to come play here? So we've got a dilemma. It's bad, and it's like teams that you see around the whole NFL. They stay in the deep freeze for sometimes 20 years, and that's where we're headed.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Some pushback.
Yeah.
In terms of offensive line, I think you're a right tackle away from being capable of being a playoff team.
I mean, according to PFF, they only allowed 6 pressures today.
Because then you get Skoronski in year 3, you get Latham in year 2, you get a rookie right tackle, or you get a rookie left tackle, move Latham to right tackle.
Yeah.
And I think you're okay. You get your center back. And in terms of quarterback, what was he asking? Who's the quarterback the next 2 games, or was he asking who's the quarterback next year?
Well, I think he kind of asked a couple different ones. He asked, like, is it going to be Rudolph? Is it going to be Levis? And
Because
I think he's talking both games and next year. Then he's talking about, like, well, who's going to want to come here in free agency because the offensive line sucks, and why would a draft pick want to come here? Most draft picks don't have the authority to dictate that. But, I mean, Shedeur Sanders is a little bit different, but, I mean, most are
that's
just
the
going
other
to be.
point
I don't know if we see a Manning situation.
I can only remember 2 times where someone said, no, I'm not going
Elway and Manning.
and pulled it.
And we are on the list. The Tennessee Titans are on the list of approved places from Shedeur Sanders' side, as specifically Dion has said, I got to be careful what I say about Will Levis on a podcast because we could be drafted by Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, it has not been ruled out, at least yet.
Yeah. I don't know. Very, very, very rarely do you have that. And we saw that in 2004 and 1982.
When was that class? I think it was 82.
82. So 100-something years of NFL has happened twice with somebody.
Maybe it was 83.
83, yeah. It dictated their terms as far as where they will and will not go.
Yeah,
and
John
even John
Elway
was still picked, and he was like, I'm not coming. And
that was the Colts,
that
right?
was the Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was going to go play baseball.
That's right.
But Eli's situation, he kind of did the same thing, and they worked out a deal, and they got a franchise quarterback in Phil Rivers, and he was phenomenal in Hall of Fame career while he was there, just didn't win the Super Bowl. So it worked out.
And Eli got his?
And he got his.
615-737-1045. More Titans talk back coming up. Andy will lead us off. You want in? Your reaction. Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts. 615-737-1045. It is Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson with you. 615-737-1045. Titans would pick fourth currently in the NFL draft. We're watching New England. Should they win, Titans move up to third. New England just stopped Buffalo with 13 seconds left in the first half. New England leads 14-7. That will likely be the halftime score. Also watching the Raiders situation. They have 2 wins. They get to 3 if they beat the Jaguars at home today. They have kicked a field goal to add to their lead, 13-7, and they have the ball in Jacksonville territory, 3:22 to go first half there. 615-737-1045. Taking a look at some of the quarterbacks for next year, if you want to do that, if you don't believe in this class. These are the Heisman Trophy odds from BetOnline. So you don't know which, now with NIL, you don't know which guys like come back, stay, whatever. Arch Manning, the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, at 6-1. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, second. John Mateer, who just transferred to Oklahoma from Washington State, third. Drew Aller, don't see it, Penn State. Nico is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee is fifth. Cade Klubnik at Clemson. Kevin Jennings at SMU. Lenora Sellers, he's just going to be a sophomore. Connor Wegman, who's transferred again. DJ Lagway, who's a sophomore. Jackson Arnold, anybody want him?
No.
Can I stop at this?
Yes.
At this list? Okay, thank you. 615-737-1045. Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts in Indianapolis. NWI with another touchdown. Dice, he now has 9 touchdowns on 25 receptions this year.
That's remarkable.
Isn't it?
That's Pro Bowl numbers. I'm just kidding.
I mean, he should really probably be higher than he is in the Pro Bowl rankings, because of the sheer absurdity of the stats that you constantly see. Like, he's probably in the public eye, and you got to think there's some fantasy people that have won games for NWA. You just think that, social media would have bumped him up. I
think there are only 3 players in the NFL that have more touchdown receptions than NWI. Imagine if he had like 50 catches.
Yeah,
how many touchdowns?
He said up there with Jamar Chase.
He'd have
18 touchdowns.
Up there with Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Of course he would just double his.
And
number.
he's only 2 more touchdowns with 2 games left to tie Drew Bennett's record for single season touchdowns by receiver, correct?
11. Mm-hmm.
So he had 11, so he could still beat it. Still time.
Won a game.
I always tell the story. So the Music City Marathon, like him and his boys are out, and you know how you're out with your boys and you're like, we should do this, and everybody's convinced, and then you wake up the next morning, you're like, what were we talking about?
Yeah,
like we're not going to run with the Bulls in Pamplona. Like it's not happening. Well, it was happening last night. Well, apparently Drew Bennett was out with his boys, and the Music City Marathon was the next day, and he was like, let's go run it, and blah blah blah. Well, no one did, but him. He went and ran the marathon.
Oh, that's crazy.
Drew was a phenomenal athlete, man. It's
just incredible.
Some things he was
quarterback in college.
I remember him. We were at a celebrity basketball game.
He's the reverse Ryan Tannehill.
And he did a reverse dunk. I mean, he did a dunk between his legs, went up 2 feet between his legs and dunked it. I said, that's an athlete. That's an athlete.
I have some positivity real quick if you want some positivity.
You got positivity.
There we go.
All right. We're looking
Tennessee Titans offense is averaging 8.9 points per game. 18.9.
That's positive?
18.9 points per game, which is better than the previous 2 seasons of Titans football.
Oh.
So there you go. A little positivity for it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are y'all watching?
New England, instead of throwing a Hail Mary, did the throw it underneath, and the guy ran all the way to the 15-yard line before he pitched it.
They're only about a touchdown away from really being effective and really having an impact. 24-ish points a game is usually that magic number.
Right. 615-737-1045. Andy is in Maryland, wants to talk about the Titans. Andy, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yo.
How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. It sucks. We lost today, but, I don't know if you guys have been on Twitter yet, but Twitter is just like, oh, my gosh, you think the world is, like, coming to an end. And lost in all this is no one has mentioned that the Titans scored 30 points today for the second time this season.
Third time this season.
Third time. Okay, that's right. I forgot the Dolphins game.
Yeah.
So for the third time this season, they scored 30 points, but no one's talking about it. And so I'm just saying, like, Amy's not – I don't think there's any way Amy fires Callahan or Rand, because when they went into this year and when she hired him, they knew that, hey, he's a first-time head coach, first-time play caller. We're going to have some issues. Don't be surprised if this year goes the way it does. And unfortunately, it could have went either way, right? They could have had a great year, or it could have been what we have now. And I just think it went that way, and fans just can't come to terms with that. They were thinking for instant success, right? Turnkey, Vrabel was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they forget Vrabel won, 3 of his last 23 games or something like that?
Yes.
And it just, I got to stay off Twitter because it's just, Brian is going to get, he's probably going to get his full 3 years. Now, I'm not going to say his seat's not hot, or not hot, but like getting warm. But Amy's going to bring him in at the end of the year and say, what is your vision going forward with this? Because you're right.
Course.
He did not draft Levis. He inherited Levis, who, if I remember correctly, he was a linebacker and running back until he, like his senior year in high school or something, wasn't he?
Who, Levis?
Yeah, because he wasn't always a quarterback his whole prep career.
I remember James Franklin using him more for his running ability when they used him at quarterback. But, Andy, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. 615-737-1045. It is time for the Kroger Sacks for Cash. Today, the Titans have 1 sack, courtesy of Big Jeff for the season. Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee now stands at $3,600 every time the Titans sack the opposing quarterback. Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. Big Jeff, that motor was going all damn day, man. Can't question his heart, desire, drive. Can't label him soft, that's for sure. 8 tackles today, a sack, a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit. Big Jeff was all over the place.
All with one arm. We always forget that he is playing essentially with one arm right now.
I know. That's why.
And that's a guy that could have opted out for surgery. So that's been my big thing is like, I have been hard on Big Jeff's start to the season, but you cannot deny his toughness because that's a guy that could have easily, I got my money, I got my bag, let me get this surgery in a losing season and call it a year, and I'll see you guys next year. But that's a guy that's playing each and every week.
And leading by the example. And I think, again, one of my points earlier was the fact that they found a way and they still battled to get within this game. Now, granted, Colts were trying to run out the clock, but the problem is, they were trying to do that, but they have been dominating up front as well. They were running the football, as you mentioned, 300 some odd yards. So, to me, a sign of a team that isn't as far away as we would think is instances like that where they battle back and fight, where they could easily just laid it down, lost 38 to whatever, 10, I think it was at that point, and just been like, man, going to the next one. We got a couple left. But they fought.
Yep.
615-737-1045. Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson with you until 6:30. Titans lose 38-30 to the Colts in Indianapolis. We want your reaction. 615-737-1045. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home too. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. It is Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty with you. Zach Lyons is here. The Dr. Kevin Dyson. And we've got you guys until 6:30 talking through this Titans loss to the Colts in Indianapolis, 38-30. Titans go up 7-0. Rudolph to Ridley, 38-yard touchdown. Then the wheels come off, falling behind 38-7 in the third. They pull within 38-30 with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion with just under 3 minutes to go, but the D couldn't get off the field. They had an opportunity with a 3rd and 8 situation. Brownlee Jr., for whatever reason, was playing off of Michael Pittman, easy pitching catch on an out route, and that kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah,
that one made me mad. And then he threw up his hands up in the air, and I'm like, was there a miscommunication, or is this just that he put his hands up in the air because he knew he screwed up?
Happened? I mean, we don't know, but what do you think happened?
I think there was a coverage call, and I typically when you have a coverage call, and I'm thinking it was man or some form of man in whether it be a 3 shell or whatever, and they usually allow the corner to have the autonomy of I'm on it, I'm close, I'm backed off. In that case,
especially on the wide side,
of the field. In that case, if you're going to play off situationally, clock everything is going on third and short, second and short. It was second and short, right?
No, it was third and eight. Third and eight. They get off the field, and get the ball back with 2 minutes to go.
Squat at the sticks, because if they take a shot, I think he has somebody behind him, meaning a safety. Squat. If you're going to play off,
even if he doesn't, I mean, at that point in the game, you cannot give up a first down.
Because McCreary was over in the area too, and then they were just befuddled.
Yeah,
is what they were like.
Now that could be the case. McCreary could have probably been where he's supposed to fan to number one, meaning get underneath the throw, and he just didn't do it, and so the corner takes the brunt of it. When that could have been the case, the coverage dictate that he's over top, and the number 2 defender runs under number 1 receiver. So basically, the slot defender runs to the outside guy. That could have been the case, but from what I saw, it looked like it was like cover 3 man coverage, and he just ran out there. But still, even then, that means the hook roll defender would be number 1 defender.
How hard would it be for Denard Wilson to see him off like that and get a message communicated to the sideline and to the player? Is that kind of impossible at that?
Yeah.
Scenario?
Yeah, there's no way he could. Especially he was on the other far sideline too.
Okay, I got some positivity. Okay, to build off
this. Zach with his positivity.
I'm just trying. Listen, I'm searching for positivity.
All right, I like this form of Zach.
Before that pass, obviously, that was the longest catch that Michael Pittman made all day. So out of the 11 pass attempts that actually happened, 12 dropbacks, 1 sack, 11 pass attempts. Michael Pittman was being held in check for pretty much, the most.
And he's been a Titan killer.
And I'm just trying to find positive.
2 for 19 for Michael Pittman.
I got some more positive for me. This is from Ramon, who texted in. Last week when Kenneth Murray went out, the green dot, and Luke Gifford went out, and all that kind of stuff. The green dot went to Amani Hooker. This time it went to Cedric Gray. Cedric Gray wore the green dot for the game. I don't know if that was made aware or anything, but they didn't give it to Amani Hooker like they did last week. So maybe something to build on for next year.
Amani Hooker with another interception.
Yep.
His 5th of the season.
This season, he's having Pro Bowl type numbers.
Look at all these positive things we're finding.
I know this. Going into the game, Amani Hooker was... Slay's like, man, you can find a stat for anything. I'm like, yeah, not to Zach's point, but I do love the numbers. Amani Hooker, only player in the NFL going into this weekend with 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 50 or more tackles.
He's been awesome, and he's another guy that's not getting enough love in Pro Bowl, voting and stuff like that. And
it's hard too when your team is 3-12.
That's true. I do wonder if maybe he gets some All-Pro votes though this year too.
Yeah.
He may not make first team. He may not even make second team, but, I think he deserves at least a vote or 2.
All pro is hard to make.
Yes. It is, bro. It is, especially people have their favorites, too.
And then Pro Bowl is, popularity contest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaquan Jackson was leading there for a little bit, but the world has corrected itself, and he's got pushed down the list.
He did get pushed down because he was leading before last weekend.
Yeah.
Still, even though he wasn't playing. 615-737-1045. I remember when Bullock had a hard time getting into the Pro Bowl, even though he was putting up ridiculous numbers here. And just small market.
Small market. And I've told Bull this over the years. He's one of the most underrated linebackers of his era.
Definitely.
Because look at his era of linebacker. It just was a linebacker era. I mean, from Ray Lewis to Brian Urlacher to
keep going and going.
Yeah. It was just tough, and you had to have some pretty gaudy numbers to get in that conversation. Usually sack numbers, in which he wasn't that guy. He was more of the interception, pass defense guy, a lot of volume tackler.
I'll say this: if Bullock was on the field and noticed his corner that far off, he would have said something.
He would have been over there,
and he would have been like, "Look, I'll take the blame."
Yeah,
but you got to be up on that guy.
Yep, you got to be able to. Because it's situational football, and again,
so what if you give up a touchdown? You cannot give up a first down.
And again, we're crucifying the guy, and the coverage may have been he had the deep half or deep third.
Right, and
they're
talking about a rookie player who's been awesome,
and it might have been the guy inside of him that's supposed to run and jump inside in front of that route.
That's true.
So
don't know.
Yeah. So, but again, if that's the case, that goes back to the D coordinator and the coverage call, right? Now, sometimes, God, I'm getting technical football, but sometimes when
I like it.
Situational formations, you have some automatic checks, like, oh, we check to this coverage. But again, that still goes back to situational football. Yeah, we might have some checks, but look at the situation. It's 3rd and 8. We got to get off the field, get offense the ball. Don't check that. We're riding man all the way through. Yeah. Get up on him. So, we're all speculating here, but, at the end of the day, situationally, it's 3rd and 8. Play the sticks. I think I play that percentage, and I'm trying to get off the field.
615-737-1045. Let's go to Mike, who's in London. Mike, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? Good evening, guys. How are you?
Great, man.
How you doing, man?
Listen, I'm not great. I think I spoke to you guys in the 6th week or 7th when they had the Superman interception. I think the main thing for me is this team that everything just doesn't line up for us. Even when we were the best team in the AFC, I think, the number 1 seed, I don't think any of us was confident that we could go in there and beat, I think it was the Bengals to beat us. Because we knew we just weren't playing open offensive football, So I think in answer to one of the guys I called earlier, I think, the head coach was brought in to play more exciting open football, which for whatever reason now, we now have quarterback problems, offensive line problems. But I think that the draft has been good to us this year, if I'm being honest, compared to the last 3-4 years. I think we need to ride with this guy, try and see what we can add into it. I did talk about tanking in week 6 because I had a sneak feeling this might happen. But I thought you guys thought I was crazy then. But the reality of it is, even if we're 1, 2, or 3, we've got to learn around the GM cook. If his cooking is as good as it is this year, God help us, it needs some spices. But the reality of it is, even if we trade up or down, we just need to keep on plugging the holes that we've got. But everything needs to line up for us. And I think under Vrabel, what should have happened really was we needed a good offensive coordinator to really push that into the next level. But he was too bothered with all his nepotistic hires. So I think that everything needs to line up. The lady has done well in changing everything. I don't know that we need to start all over again, but this is painful to watch. This is painful to watch. It's like, watching an ugly girl trying to get some good makeup on. It doesn't change anything. We just need to stay where we are and keep on riding what we've got. And that's what I think.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Let me ask y'all a hypothetical and just ride with me for a second. If they kept Vrabel and he hired somebody like Callahan to call the offense, would you have felt better going into the season than having a rookie head coach play caller?
I think Vrabel wanted a lot more control than that situation would have allowed.
Yeah, this is true.
I get what your point is, and that would have to be it. But the issue is that would have to be the situation. But he wasn't going to fire Tim Kelly.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. Yeah. I'm just saying. I think part of the issue and the downfall for Vrabel was he had a lot of control of what's going on, and he was stubborn in his ways. Yeah, and offensively, they kept deteriorating, and we never saw that explosiveness that we saw early on, and they kind of ran the king down.
When Art left, that kind of went out the right
of course,
door.
Part of head coaching is not only recognizing player talent, like player evaluation is part of head coaching evaluation, like your staff, being able to assemble staff is also a big part of a head coach.
Yeah.
And I know that the results don't reflect it, but this staff is much better than any of the staffs outside of the Art Smith and Dean Pease, where he pushed Dean Pease out of the way, by the way. Those staffs. This is the best staff that the Tennessee Titans have seen since both those guys have left.
He pushed people out of the way that he could not control.
Yeah.
Buffalo tied it up, man.
Come on, guys. It is tied. New England 14, Buffalo 14. Raiders lead the Jaguars 13-7 at halftime. Watching those games, Titans currently in the 4th selection in the draft order. Should New England upset Buffalo in Buffalo, they move up to 3rd. 615-737-1045. Let's go to Alex in Franklin. Alex, what's up?
Hey, so finally get to say it. First time, long time.
All right.
And so I love how, even though we don't have a chance at anything, the guys are still playing hard.
Yeah.
I don't want us to tank, but I also love the result of the loss. And then
that's a good way to work through that.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Like, I was hoping for them to get the ball back, go down and score, force overtime, and all those things, but at the end of the day, it's 38-30, it's another loss, and here they are 4th. So, yeah.
And then the other thing is, I think the thing I'm most upset about is that about week 5, texted a friend, we should probably do a parlay every game of NWI under 3.5 catches, anytime touchdown.
Love it.
You probably would make some money.
Oh, you would have made a ton.
I believe
like last 10 weeks?
You can check it. I believe it's 7 of the 15 games.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he didn't even have a target in the first 4, so if you just started in week 5, you really would have banked out.
Just unbelievable. And then only last thing I want to say, Dr. Dyson, go Cougars.
Oh, you would. You could. Oh, he's talking my Cougars. I thought he was talking about BYU for a second, man. I was about to hang up on you.
Right into college football.
I went right to college football. I'm about to hang up on you. You're right. Go Cougars. I forget Centennial. My bad. We the Cougars.
I was going to say, no, we'll CCCHS.
Yeah, that's my guy. Yes.
Exactly.
My guy.
Right.
Thank you, Alex.
I hear that. It's still hard for me to get used to. For so long, I'm a Utah Ute, man. So, woo.
Who else was in it for you in recruiting?
For me?
For college, yeah.
Arizona State, Kansas State, Utah, Weber State, Hawaii, and
might as well. Did you take an official to Hawaii?
I did not. And Utah State.
They don't offer official. Like, you have to work for an official visit to Hawaii.
Yeah.
They don't just flippantly throw those out there. I understand Arizona State.
I actually committed to both schools, and back then you had the papers and you mailed them in or faxed them in, and I had a double commit. I committed to Utah after my visit to Arizona State when I didn't initially have the offer before I left. And then when I committed to Utah, I got the call that day and said, "Why'd you do that? We got your offer." So I was like, "Well, I want to go to Pac-10 at that time and get out of the snow. I don't ski." So I was like, "Oh yeah." So I had both, but then ultimately I decided Utah was with me from my junior year on. They were committed to me. They show how important I was to them. I committed to them first. They committed to me first. So I stuck with my first commitment. And lo and behold, first game my freshman year, we go to Tempe, Arizona, play Arizona State. Jake Plummer comes in second half, and we get blowed out 38-0. I was like, yeah, I made the right choice. I was like, maybe I should transfer. But it worked out for me, though.
You couldn't really back then, man.
No, you couldn't.
You had to sit out a year and all that stuff.
Yeah. And who knows? Utah was the only place that really emphasized receiver, and everybody else was a DB. Although Arizona State said, you might be a good Division I wide receiver, too. But I was recruited as a corner.
Was it
safety.
that way for your brother, too?
He was always a corner.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I was recruited as a corner or safety, depending on. Arizona State wanted me as a corner. Everybody else wanted me as a safety. So, yeah, it worked.
You wanted to play wide receiver? What was the one?
Actually, I just wanted to play. Actually, to be told, I wanted to play corner.
Did you?
I did. I wanted to play corner, and I didn't want to get hit. I still don't want to get hit at almost 50 years old. But, I wanted to be on the other side of the equation. I did. And Fred Graves, man, who I credit a lot to, man, he taught me He taught me how to be a receiver, how to the ropes of it, and he wouldn't let me settle for mediocrity. He pushed me. I mean, so to the point he had me in tears in practice sometimes because I didn't do things right. He'd make me do it over and over and over again.
I remember Blaine telling a story about Samari Roll. Samari Roll was like, thin.
Yeah.
Right? Incredible athlete out of Florida State.
He will come hit you with all 170 pounds he had.
But there was one play that Blaine tells a story where he was like, hey, Blaine, I can't tackle this guy.
Yeah.
Blaine said, hold him, make him move his feet and hold him up. I'm coming.
Yeah, that's it. That's that communication, especially Blaine was just good at that kind of stuff.
And y'all had such a good locker room.
Yeah. That was the key. I think,
that was such a fun year, man.
And I benefited. I was a young guy coming into that. So was Javon. And we was just able to come into a veteran team who had some lean years, who were in that middle. They were 8-8 in my rookie,
3 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think my rookie year was that third year in a row. And then we got new uniforms, got a new stadium, and then the next thing you know, and then Javon got here. It just clicked. And I think that's what I want people to understand about professional sports is it's you're really a possession away from being a playoff team or not. And we keep talking about this team is 3-12, and rightfully so. But I'm going to go use the Kansas City Chiefs, and we can go player for player and talk about the differences. But if we talk about scoreboard for scoreboard, they won how many games by one score or less?
Yeah, almost all of them this year.
Almost all of them. And they're that close from being not talked about or being talked about as a disappointing season.
Yeah.
And that's just how close the NFL is. And you gave example 11 or 12 teams. If you ran the numbers even further down, how many of them were like one game out of playoffs in 3 of those, how many years that was and things like that. That's just how finite that is. And to me, the ultimate difference is that signal caller.
You want a really good example of that? Just look within the division. The Houston Texans in 2022 were 3-13-1. The next year, they won a playoff game.
And guess what they had that everybody else didn't have?
So you can sit here with a 3-win team and lose hope. And I get it. We're here for you to voice those concerns, opinions, and get it off your chest and all those things. But the NFL, you can make a big jump year to year. And you're right. It's signal caller. So
especially in this division right now.
3-13-1 they played 2 playoff games.
2 playoff games next year. Yeah. And they're going back to playoffs this year. I think they're going to win the division. I don't think the Colts going to catch them.
No, that's already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
it's done.
Oh, well, then there you go. So the Colts are just fighting for that wild card.
So good point. So 2 years in a row off a 3-13-1 season.
Yeah.
615-737-1045 if you want in. Titans Talkback. Brent Dorn, exact lines. The Dr. Kevin Dyson walking you up to Sunday Night Football, which you can catch right here on 1045. The Zone Westwood 1 coverage of Tampa Bay at Dallas begins at 6:30. We'll be right back. It is Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty with you. Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. Presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. It is time for the Higginbotham right call of the game. Higginbotham can be your business teammate by helping manage your risks, limit your liability, put a plan of action in place, and control your costs. Insurance plans for your company and your assets. It's all online at higginbotham.com. Higginbotham.com. Right call of the game. We talked about it during one of the breaks. Maybe go with that 2-point conversion that made it a one-score game, having been down 38-7. Get it all the way back to 38-30. It looked like Mason Rudolph looked at 5 different options on that play. Finally saw Chig standing by himself by the pylon and made that throw. Again, Chig with a huge day, 9 for 81. Last week, 8 for 59, so 17 receptions and quick math, 140 yards in the last 2 games. He's 7 receptions away from his career high. So a big game for Chig, and clearly Mason Rudolph likes him.
I got some more positivity.
Zach with positivity. There you go.
I'm loving this version of you, bro.
We needed to know this coming in so we could have a sounder for every time you were going to a Zach with positivity.
We need like a ding or something.
Yeah.
A heart plays because an angel gets their wings every time I'm positive, I guess.
Is that what it is?
So, hey, how about that special teams coach, huh? We haven't been talking about him for the last 3 weeks. Since they made all those player changes and personnel changes. They had a really long return today, 42 yards, I think, by Tajay Spears, who ran just straight up the middle.
Yeah.
But just saying, no special teams blunders for 3 weeks.
I really thought he was about to break that one.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to full speed on that deal.
And got to move him. Hey, to your point.
Zach.
Just saying, I've been trying to tell people to calm down. That these are player-driven mistakes, and I don't know, looking pretty good today. That's 3 weeks in a row. You could arguably say they've been the best unit for the last 3 weeks. Special teams has been the best unit.
Would have been nice to dial up a punt block on that last play with 10 seconds.
Oh,
that would have been good.
Yeah, I knew he was going to get that off with rapid fire.
I would have given him 2025 if he'd have made that happen. 615-737-1045. Zach with positivity. I like it. Benji is in East Tennessee. Benji, what's up?
Hey, when Amy made the emotional mistake to fire the coach of the year, Mike Vrabel, and replace him with Callahan, we were told that they wanted to modernize the offense. Then they went out and got a $92 million wide receiver in free agency. So the point of my call is, there is no reason that Calvin Ridley should not be having 10-plus targets every game.
I don't disagree with that, but let me ask you a question, just the devil's advocate this thing. What do you think this offense would have looked like with Mike Vrabel this year?
I think that he did much more with much less, so it's only reasonable to assume he would have done much better than what we've gotten out of offensive guru Callahan.
Okay. I think the offensive line problems would still be the same. I think the quarterback issues would still be the same. I'm with you on the Ridley targets. We talked about that earlier in the show.
But I think the argument... Go ahead. I'm sorry. I think the argument for Vrabel has always been the predictability.
Yeah.
Because you had the king back there.
Let me ask you a question, Benji. Would you fire Rand Carthon?
I would let Rand Carthon stay for one more season, and I would let him make the decision on Callahan and Levis. I would say if you can keep one, you can keep both, but your decision and the results, your job is on the line.
Okay. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, my thing, most people who say fire Rand Carthon.
Thank you, Benji. Appreciate it.
Because Mike Vrabel could do some. There's a lot of people that will say you need to fire Rand Carthon because this roster sucks, and that same person will turn around and say Mike Vrabel would have won with this roster because his roster is better. First off, Mike Vrabel would have never had this roster. You're talking about a guy that wanted Andre Dillard, Isaiah Wilson, and Aaron Brewer on his offensive line at different points in the year. He wouldn't have had this, same roster. So I find it a mute point. Like, I don't think it was very...
Here's the other thing. Vrabel in his last 24 games was 6-18.
Yeah.
And people forget that.
Yeah.
I also think, I don't think it was very emotional to fire someone after 2 straight losing seasons. I mean, Coach of the Year was the 2021 season.
2021.
I mean,
Yeah. We've seen coaches get fired the year after winning that award.
I don't think. I think that he had two years to try to turn something around and make something happen, and he held on to certain players, certain veterans, and listen. A lot of the games that they scored points in on offense was solely because you had Derrick Henry. It wasn't because of an offensive scheme or anything. I mean, this team's scoring more points with a worse quarterback situation than anything that outside of the Malik Willis games that Mike Vrabel ever had to deal with.
Well, in terms of Rand, though, the draft before – so the last draft, I mean, you've got Latham starting left tackle all year. You've got Tavondre Sweat, who we all think is going to be a
Pro Bowler.
He already is incredible.
Yeah.
Brownlee Jr., I think, has tremendous ability at cornerback. Cedric Gray finally got on the field and 15 tackles today.
Yeah.
So that's Rand's first real draft class.
Yeah.
So I get like everybody's got their own opinion, and I respect that and all that. I don't understand the Rand stuff, though. I don't.
Yeah. I think he's been thrown in with Levis because he was here when he was picked. When he got here, we talked March or April
it's just
that year?
such a mess. There's no clear story about who, and that just tells you. Here's why I told people on Friday. Maybe I told them on Football and Other F Words, but like, if me and Blaine,
I love that title for the podcast, by the way.
If me and Blaine hated each other, right, and we came in to do our job, but we hated each other off airs, you guys, the listeners, would tell because the product would suffer. And you're looking at a situation 2023 where Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel both hated going into work and working, in a situation where nobody has clear power, nobody has collaboration, you got factions going on. That's not a sustainable way to build a draft class and build free agency. And that's why 2023 was kind of a mess when you kind of look at it. This at least has cohesive and cohesion, has everybody moving in the same direction. The only issue is they had to blow it all up.
That's a big part of why Amy Adams Strunk did that, because however you want to view this, she wanted a more clear flow of power. Right? And as we mentioned earlier, Mike Vrabel wanted complete control over everything, and we were talking in terms of coaching hires, and that's a big part of it. But yeah, I do not give 2 years ago to Rand.
By the way,
in that draft.
This much maligned modern offense, like we said earlier, and the caller said we should probably bring it up more, 3 30-point performances.
In the last
time
games.
the Mike Vrabel team scored 30 points was in 2021.
Yes.
So thank you.
Which I said.
Yeah.
How many games? Did you say that? Shove it up your butt.
It was 38 games.
38 games.
Without scoring 30 points.
Golly, that's amazing.
And only 3 of those were on Callahan. So the last 35 games of Vrabel's tenure.
That's crazy. In this pass-happy, ball in the air
it looks like he's going to end up in Chicago.
As a coordinator or a consultant?
Head coach. Really? He's the favorite to land that job.
With a young
He's got a relationship with the general manager. And, I mean, he fits organizationally, like when you think about the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely.
I
just don't know about offensively with that quarterback.
That's exactly right.
Vrabel plus Caleb Williams plus his rumored OCs being either Tommy Rees or Josh McDaniels. That is must-see TV every week. Because there is no way that one of those 3 doesn't end up dead in Chicago at some point. Because someone's getting murdered. Because I could not imagine the dynamic.
It's rumored. Is it a done deal with Belichick and his son to North Carolina? Is that a done deal?
That got announced right when we went on air.
His press conference was incredible. When he took the North Carolina job.
Yeah.
And he goes, sorry for the long-winded answer to a short question, but you guys know how much I love these press conferences.
That's awesome.
Which I thought was great. 615-737-1045. Corey in Nashville. Corey, what's up?
I just wanted to know, and I think I might have missed it in the midst of me sleeping in my room because I knew that this was the mop. But what was wrong with Sweat's eye?
I believe
Thank you, Corey.
Jonathan Taylor got in through the face mask and got his eye in some form or fashion. I didn't catch it, but that's what I've heard a few people say, but I'm not entirely sure on that.
He looked like a boxer like in round 3 that his eye had been closed up.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then he came back and played and you didn't miss a step.
Yeah.
That dude is something.
Yeah, he's tough.
615-737-1045. Larissa in Nashville. Larissa, what's up?
Hi, everybody. I have to say, you guys are the best, and the producers are equally the best. And thank you guys for making, again, the world better. Happy holidays to all the listeners, and Happy New Year, all that good stuff. But my question is, though, and I'm curious, everyone's so quick to have everyone fired. And I always go back to this. What is the status of your job situation?
Uh-oh.
Now, this is the thing. In my very humble opinion, and I always say humble opinion because I know that there's going to be some pushback. Well, I mean, you got to build some roots here. And when you keep calling for people's heads and this person needs to get fired, how are you going to build roots? Now, not one person that's ever planted a garden of any sort immediately came out, you plant the garden, there's tomatoes the next day. That's not how this works. And it is not pretty. It is not, and this is not where anyone wants to be. But when you keep asking people to get fired, how are you going to actually get some roots? What's the next person going to do? And the next person? Because if it doesn't satisfy you, you want that person to get fired too? So, bring it down.
She's stepping on toes.
It's a great city, a great team. But just stand down for just a moment. I'm going to hang up and listen because I know a lot of people. I apologize if I've offended anyone. Thank you. Good night.
That's like when somebody says, I mean no disrespect, but you know
what's coming.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying. Like if she would have started to go with that, I was like, "Oh, okay,
it's coming.
Let's go."
But hey, she's stepping on toes. But I feel her though too.
It's an instant gratification world that we live in.
It is microwave culture, man.
Yep, microwave culture is exactly what's going through my head.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm big on stability because again, stability proves over time that it can work and lead to success, even if you start out in bad situations. Yeah. I mean, you talk about San Francisco, Detroit. There are other teams that have started out in bad situations that stuck with their head coach, even through even 6-win teams, and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, a 6-11 team and a 3-14 team, I don't see much of a difference. Like you either have a quarterback or you don't in this league. And if you're 6-11 without a quarterback and you're 3-14 without a quarterback, you just had a couple other things that went your way.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's not really that big of a difference.
Exactly.
I needed 7 from this group because the preseason over/under win total was 6.5.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you're just going to throw an arbitrary number out there,
everybody's like, well, Mike Vrabel, he won 6 games. And this team's now worse. Well, I mean, who cares that he won 6 games?
But again, I'm going to go back to the last 24 games that he coached. He was 6-18.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'll go right back to the Dan Campbell thing. He was 3-13 in year 1, started 0-6 the next year. They held true.
See?
615-737-1045. Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, and the Dr. Kevin Dyson. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems that can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans Talkback with Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. Reaction to all of the college football activity and the NFL tomorrow all day on the Zone.
Y'all going to have fun.
Zone.
Y'all will have fun this week.
A lot of things to talk through tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Those playoff games.
I mean, University of Tennessee meltdown, Tennessee Titans meltdown. I mean, it was just something in the water, I guess, up north.
Bright spot, UT basketball, number one.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Ball's rolling too. Kellum Science behind the stat from autism to arthritis. Your body, your cells, your solution. Call 615-850-4415 for your consultation. Again, Kellum Science behind the stat. 10th fastest player so far in NFL activity. Calvin Ridley on the 38-yard touchdown, 20.62 miles per hour.
He was moving.
What does it feel like to run that fast, Dice?
They didn't time ours back. I'd be curious how they timed me on that miracle.
You could outrun a golf cart. Like, a golf cart.
Yeah,
and you
that's
just go
kinda
run it
weird.
by me.
We can run.
Yeah.
I had long legs, so people never thought I was fast as I was.
Yeah.
That was a blessing and a curse.
Chewing up stripes.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Kellum Science behind the stat again, 615-850-4415. That was a great throw by Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
he doesn't typically throw the ball down the field. I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
He had a couple of good throws. Then he had some real head scratchers. Obviously, the interception, but the very last interception to Calvin Ridley, like Ridley was streaking open. If you would have thrown Ridley, in front of him instead of to him, that wouldn't have been an interception. May not have been caught, but you at least got to give your wide receiver, a chance, especially on that far down the field. It could have turned into something.
I forget which interception it was, but the TV broadcast, I think it was. I forget who said it. Maybe it was Jay Feely. Said that looked like Will Levis.
Yeah. That's what it felt like.
They were straight up like throwing jabs at the Titans
all the time.
They really were. They were throwing little jabs, little subliminal messages.
Well deserved, I guess.
Yeah.
I got some positivity for you.
Zach with the positivity. Check it. It's almost like won a segment here.
I don't have to be that guy no more. I'm going to let Zach have it.
All right. According to PFF Live stats, the offensive line only gave up 6 pressures, 0 sacks. So I assume they're counting the 1 sack on Mason Rudolph either as a coverage sack or against the quarterback.
Right, on MPF.
So that
because
means
he held the ball for 10 minutes.
So that means J.C. Latham had a big bounce back game, and you needed to see that from J.C. Latham. And listen, let's be honest. This is a pretty good defensive line from the Colts. You have Kwity Paye. You have DeForest Buckner. You have Grover Stewart, who's no slouch. And they had to move in and out a lot of pieces because they had some injuries. But the left side held it down. 6 total pressures given up. So the offensive line has been pretty good these last few weeks. So there's, some other positivity to go for the Tennessee Titans.
They jumbled the offensive line after the sack, right? Like they brought Levin in at center. Yeah. They brought who's my guy at right tackle?
Oh, MPF or John Ojukwu?
Ojukwu, yeah.
Ojukwu mania ran wild today.
And then Brunskill moved over to
I don't think it's any coincidence that this offense started clicking and scoring points when John Ojukwu went in.
I love that guy. Have you ever had a chance to talk with him?
No, but he seems like, from the videos and interviews, he seems like a really cool guy.
He said he had to gain 100 pounds in a year.
How?
To play offensive tackle.
Well, didn't he drink milk every day?
He drank milk. He did all the things, but yeah.
I cannot. The amount of calories, and you still got to do your cardiovascular and run and lift.
Well, and then you got to maintain it.
Yes. 100 pounds. What's he weigh now?
I don't know, but his legs still are thin. Those pencil legs is how Blaine calls them.
Dang, 100 pounds in a calendar year.
It's funny, man. Sometimes those offensive linemen, when they quit playing football, they just get skinny.
Yeah, he'll be that guy that's going to lose 100 and something pounds when he's done because he only put it on to chase the dream.
And then you'll see him around and you won't recognize him.
Yeah, like, who is this cat?
615-737-1045. Val is next up. Val, what's up?
What's going on, fellas?
Yo.
I'm a big fan of the show, first time caller, and a big fan of the Titans since 1978. So I've seen some real bad seasons. But I wanted to answer the positive talk. I think Callahan is going to be around for a while. I don't think you'll get rid of coaches that quick and build a culture of championship winning by getting rid of the coach every 2 and 2.5 years. I think what this team is missing is that leadership at quarterback. I think it's that voice, it's that confidence, and knowing that the guy behind center is going to get you the ball, is going to make the right calls and do the right plays. I think that's the thing that's missing. I think, this team could easily be, a 6-7-win team right now with a decent quarterback, and maybe just on the outskirts of a playoff. So, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Callahan's offensive scheme. And do you feel that it's a more complicated scheme and may take more time to get it, thus, slowing down the progress of a quarterback or an offense? So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks, Val. I think you answered your own question when you were talking about the struggle of the quarterback play. Like, it's really hard to – can you imagine being a play caller with what's going on out there? Mm-hmm. With the offensive
trying
line
all
this
kinds
season,
of different things. I mean, they tried RPOs, introducing that into it. They've tried to lean more into play action. Mm-hmm. It's just, they've talked about, they poured in not only just talent around Will Levis, but they've poured in considerable resources of their own time throughout practice, throughout meetings, trying to figure out what he likes, what he doesn't like, what works for him, what doesn't work for him. And they just haven't been able to find that secret recipe for success. And at that time, you've exhausted all your resources in trying to make something happen that will never happen. Mm-hmm. And I think we're just seeing more of the same for Mason Rudolph in that situation because, Mason Rudolph does allow the team to move up and down the field, but he's not without his mistakes either. And these are some pretty terrible throws that he's making. But I think we kind of talked about is Mason Rudolph is a better quarterback than Will Levis, but he's still not an average quarterback. There's a reason he's a backup.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard for me to sit up here and just kill them because I get what he's trying to do offensively. And when you're limited on, as being a play caller, limited on the confidence of, I want to call this play right now, but I'm not sure what my guy's going to do with the ball. That holds you back more than people probably realize because you almost become fearful to call your game.
That's exactly right. And we've talked about this. Mm-hmm. When the offensive line was really struggling, it inhibits a play caller, right?
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to call a 7-step drop. In certain situations,
get your quarterback killed,
turnover, sack, fumble.
Yep, come on. And so
it does affect the play calling.
Play calling. So I'm not giving necessarily a pass. I mean, but he's got a lot to learn and grow, and I feel like he has this year. I feel like he has progressively gotten better and got a better understanding of his roster and his players and their capabilities. And I think that goes a long way as far as you just come in and try to fit a square peg in a round hole. This offense I'm running, you guys didn't figure it out, as opposed to molding your offense around the talent around you. And I think that's, again, going back to Vrabel, I think that's what got Vrabel in trouble. He was trying to, this is what I do, and it just wasn't what they were built for anymore. And so I think that's what Callahan is learning is, what are we built for? And I can call that game for what we're built for. But it still goes back down to trusting that quarterback to make the proper decisions, delivering the ball on time, protecting the quarterback and things of that nature. You cannot be an effective play caller if your quarterback's sitting on his back and you turn the ball over. Yep. I don't care how good of a play caller you are.
I guess now 20 touchdowns, 20 interceptions by both quarterbacks.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Man, that's Jameis Winston type stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't include all the fumbles. I know that I think Mason Rudolph has 2. I believe that, Levis had 17 turnovers himself, including the interceptions. So,
right. Jacksonville just took the lead in Las Vegas, 14-13, a 62-yard touchdown pass to Brian Thomas from Mac Jones. So, watching that one, Jacksonville with 3 wins, the Raiders with 2, and Jacksonville with the 1-point lead, 54 seconds left third quarter. And Buffalo just scored. New England took a 14-0 lead and then just shut it down, apparently. So it was 17-14 Buffalo, deep in their own territory. Drake May throws a backwards screen pass that the running back does not catch. It ends up in the end zone, touchdown for Buffalo on the recovery.
Yep.
So that's where those two games are.
So it's looking fourth is going to be the best draft order the Tennessee Titans are going to get with this game behind us.
Right, with 2 weeks to go.
Yeah.
And a big one next week.
Big one next
in
week.
Jacksonville.
Yep.
If you're looking at things like
that's
that.
like the who wins, loses is in the driver's seat for that next spot, that coveted spot.
That's going to be
by the fans. The fans coveted spot. That's
a hell of a game. How many fans are going to be in attendance in Jacksonville?
Oh God, they don't have a big draw when
they're good.
Yeah.
I mean, back when you guys beat them 3 times, I remember they still had the tarp up top in the the upper deck, and they were,
best team in the NFL other than when they played us.
Yeah, they beat everybody else. They were undefeated except against y'all.
14-2, and then of course they lost the AFC Championship game.
615-737-1045. James in Ashland City. James, what's up?
Yes, a couple hours ago when I first tuned in, y'all were talking about possibility of picking up some of the backup quarterbacks off other squads, and assuming, here's my take on this, assuming we're going to move on from Levis and from Rudolph, and assuming the offensive line is going to get better, which I think somebody mentioned, and I agree, it's gotten better. Even Petit Perez played a little bit better at that right tackle position. I was thinking Sam Howell's probably the best probably the best backup that might be available in free agency. But let me ask you all this, and I promise you I'm not doing this to be a homer. I'm not. What do you think it would take? Because if the Titans, what would they have to give up, assuming Detroit is willing to trade for Hendon Hooker? Now, you guys got to give me this. Before he got hurt at South Carolina game his senior year, I mean, he was putting up some gaudy numbers and looking good, and I really do believe he would have been a first-round draft pick had he not got hurt. I mean, he only threw for 4 interceptions. Do you really think the Titans would have picked Will Levis over Hendon Hooker? I mean, so he's behind Jared Goff, is not going anywhere. I'll hang up and listen to what you think about those two scenarios. Thanks so much. I appreciate you taking my call.
There's been a lot of run on that talking point about just a straight-up trade.
If you're the Lions, why would you do it?
Well, right.
I mean,
unless you don't see a future for him.
I mean, I would see more of a future from Hendon Hooker than Will Levis at this point.
Right, but so then why would you do that if you're Detroit?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I get it. We get that question in the chat. We've talked about it on our show. I'm sure you guys have talked about it on 3HL.
If he doesn't get hurt against South Carolina, he probably wins the Heisman.
Right. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if you're the Detroit, there's no reason to take a guy that's been ingrained in your system that you know is learning from Jared Goff, that's learning how to be a pro and all that kind of stuff, and then try to get Will Levis, who you know can't work in a system that the Lions kind of run. They run a progression-based offense. You have to make quick decisions in a quick passing game. Will Levis can't do that.
So this is ironic that he picked Sam Howell, given the numbers you just gave. 20 touchdowns
Sam Howell,
and 20 interceptions. Sam Howell was Washington's starting quarterback last year. 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions.
And he just went in for Seattle last week. He's not. I was a big Sam Howell guy coming out, but he kind of got ruined in Washington, and then he's over in Seattle, and he has not looked much better in Seattle when he came in for Geno Smith the other night. Yeah. So,
but I just think we got to keep in mind, and people as you call and as we talk, that we're talking about journeyman. We're talking about somebody that can be a placeholder or a substantial backup.
And you're going to have to overpay for that guy.
Right.
Look at Kirk Cousins, man.
Right. I'm a Justin.
He might be open. Listen, he might be free after this.
I'm just saying Justin Fields would work in this offense.
Oh, I'm a fan of Justin Fields.
Justin Fields, if you start watching what he did at the beginning of the year, he's doing the same as what Russell Wilson has in totality done in terms of like advanced stats. But if you go watch him, he's a guy that is working the Art Smith offense, going through his progressions. He's not a guy reliant on his first reads. He has one of the lowest first read throw rates in the league. And that still maintains to this day. I mean, he's up there with the Patrick Mahomes and the Lamar Jacksons about going through the progressions and getting the ball out to someone that is open or taking the run.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for. And that's if you had that guy who only threw 1 interception on this team, if you had Justin Fields on this team this year, you're talking about a totally different Titans team and totally different record.
I think Justin Fields he's close to Lamar Jackson in the sense of his potential dual threat ability where he can be a 3,500, 4,000-yard passer and almost 1,000-yard rusher. He has that kind of athleticism and arm strength and ability.
Yeah.
He needs the right kind of patience and coordinator and things of that nature to help him develop, which I think, to your point, this year, I have seen some growth from his time in Chicago to where he's at now.
And now think about him sitting behind Russell Wilson. In Art Smith's system, having that kind of time.
And there's a
because the
humbleness
other
that
time he
comes
didn't
with
have that with Matt Eberflus and all them.
Yeah.
You can't judge him on this Bears time pretty
and
much.
There's a humbleness that comes with that.
Yeah.
And I get it because he had to start over. He was a first round pick and starter of a franchise, and they let you go for another rookie. There's some level of being humbled and being able to say, okay, my career is now starting over. But I'm gonna throw a name out there, and what do you think about if the draft doesn't work out to your favor and you drop to?
Hang on before you do that.
Okay,
let's do it when we come back.
All right. Gotcha.
There's a nice little tease there for you. Titans Talkback, Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, and Dr. Kevin Dyson. Going to get that name from the doc when we come back. We were with you until 6:30. If you want in, lines are open. 615-737-1045. It is Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Brent Dording, Zach Lyons, the Dr. Kevin Dyson. Rolling through a discussion about the Titans' loss in Indianapolis today, 38-30 to the Colts. The comeback falls just short, 38-7.
Mm-hmm.
And had an opportunity to get off the field. Anthony Richardson somehow completed a pass to Michael Pittman Jr. and extended the drive, and that's all.
Yeah. Let me first cite my source as my man Cedric. He brought this to my attention. I was like, man, that's interesting. If the Titans fall down in the draft, meaning they win these 2 games and their draft status drops to 5-6, and you guys don't think there's going to be a quarterback at that spot, let alone, but a guy worthy of that pick that's really going to be an impact, probably not. Maybe a defensive end or somebody we don't know, a corner, who knows? We'll see. Some junior or some declares, maybe, which is not typical anymore. But
they've got to get a starter.
They got to get a starter.
For sure.
How about in that second round, a guy like Dylan Gabriel?
What I don't know, and I want to ask you about him, because he is a conundrum for me. His stats are incredible, right? But when you watch Oregon play, most of what they do is at or behind the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Their receiving core leads the country in yards after catch. So he's not a guy that pushes the ball down the field a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm kind of waiting for Greg Cosell to analyze his tape, but I don't know. Interesting thought.
Second is too rich for my blood, because I don't think he's Bo Nix. And I think that's the big difference in Dylan Gabriel and all that. And like a 4th round, 5th round, Senior Bowl, we'll see what he looks like down the Senior Bowl too. And of course, we got the college football playoffs. Maybe I'll see something different. But I know there's always going to be one quarterback that rises fast up the draft boards this year.
Yep.
And I could see a case where it is Dylan Gabriel. Yeah. I could also see a case where it's Jackson Dart for whatever reason. But I just am to that point. I'm like, if you don't get one in the first, wait till like the 5th or the 4th where you have multiple picks.
Yeah.
That's just my way of doing team building. I'm not saying that's the right way or the wrong way, but like you obviously need a playmaker round 1. Doesn't matter if it's a game changer or a game wrecker. You got to have one. And in round 2, I really think that whatever you don't get in round 1, probably right tackle, and whatever you don't get in round 1 is right there as well.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, right tackle or left tackle to move Latham to right tackle. Edge rusher.
Yeah. There's a few Will Howard people in the chat right now. They're saying that Will Howard could be
out on him.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm in on Will Howard either.
Big games, like you watch the Michigan game, he didn't play well at all. Those 2 interceptions were awful. I don't know what it is about
based
him.
off of last night is what.
Oh, he played well last night.
That's where that's coming from.
But he said he plays bad in big games, and last night was just another game for Ohio State.
Zinger from Zach. Zach Zingers. That needs to be a thing you guys do on cover 2. Zach Zingers, presented by Hostess.
There you go.
615-737-1045 at 3HL. If you were listening to 3. That's the first time I've done that in, I don't know, like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Proud of myself, but not so much because I messed up. Mason Rudolph gets the start at quarterback. 23 of 34, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The 3rd interception was throwing the ball up on the last play, but I mean,
still felt like the much time as he had, it could have been. I mean,
they didn't rush him at all.
I give him grace, but dang,
yeah.
He had so much time that the goal was not to rush him, but he sat back there so long that one of the defensive linemen was like, "Oh hell, I'll go in there.
I might as well go now." Do something in the game.
Sleeping.
Yeah. I think in my head, the scenario like a Dylan Gabriel or whoever is similar to situation in Minnesota, right? I don't know if they intended on their guy to be the star. I think they did, but he still was a winner, won the national championship, but you bring in a veteran like a Sam Darnold that you feel comfortable with, that he can come win games for you and tutor a young quarterback and say, man, I've been through it. This is things you need to be blah, 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 because Sam Darnold's been through it. He's been through some super lows throughout his career. So that's why I thought somebody like a Gabriel kind of can make sense. But I like your point, like third, fourth round probably. Yeah.
And I think that does make sense. You have to really, the Tennessee Titans have to sign a quarterback and draft a quarterback. Yeah. It's going to be one of those positions where they have to double dip because I really don't think keeping Levis around is probably a sustainable thing. Mm-hmm. Well, for one thing, he's going to want to start.
Yeah.
And he's going to try and demand a trade or a change of scenery because that's just how the NFL works.
That's the business part of it. Yeah.
And so I think he's going to not be here next year. So that leaves you a massive gap. And you really don't want to roll with Mason Rudolph unless he's like your third quarterback.
Would he sign a 2-year deal?
1-year deal. So you'd have to sign him again. So do you think that though, because you bring up Sam Darnold and mentoring, do you think that Justin Fields, because he's a little younger, but he's been through it. I mean, he's been through the ringer.
Talking about somebody has an example. Yeah. To me, he's been humbled.
Could he be that still a mentor even as young as he is? Because he's been through so many situations in a short period of time.
I think he's been humbled this year. And he's with another quarterback who has been humbled.
Yeah.
Who had the reputation of not being much of a team guy, meaning he wasn't like the leader in the clubhouse. He led on the field, but he was kind of a guy. He did his thing, watched his film, and went and did his own thing separately. He wasn't really like interacting with the players. That was the rumor about him in Seattle and somewhat in Denver as well. Like, I need this in my locker. It was all rumors, but you heard it. But where there's smoke, there's fire. It started from something. So all that say, they get a situation. You got two humbled quarterbacks, and he's been able to learn from each other's mistakes and their failures of that past season. I think he definitely could. I think he's got a story he can tell to a young guy. Now, I would assume it's got to be a young guy that he feels comfortable with. Like, this is my job, and you're not a threat. I guess is what I'm getting at.
Which again falls into like the 4th or 5th round kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just kind of where I think that is the best. Like, I look at guys like Justin Fields or even Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, obviously. If Derek Carr's cut, all those guys can provide you a competitive team with the quarterback. Probably only Sam Darnold really breaks the bank, quote unquote, breaks the bank. So you still not hampered to try to build through free agency. Then you have your draft pick availability becomes to open up. Maybe you trade back. If you fall out, if you're at number 2, then you can go back to 7 and still get a top 10 player at 7, but you also have all the picks. So like that, to me, the only path, the most viable path forward is finding that free agent quarterback that can let you be competitive, let you build through the draft still. And maybe you pick up like a guy like a Dylan Gabriel, Jackson Dart, just all that long list of quarterbacks that are probably in the 4th round, and you draft one of those guys to maybe learn behind him, and maybe he becomes something, maybe he doesn't, but you're only spending a 4th or 5th, kind of like what you did with Malik Willis, except for you're doing it with actually maybe some intent to actually develop the guy.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, though. Somebody is going to overstretch for one of those guys you just mentioned. They're going to take them a lot sooner than what people think. And then what happens? People start pulling the other guys and overstretching for those because they don't want to be without thinking, he's a 5th round pick, but then he went a 2nd.
Right.
Well, this other guy, we got him graded as a 5th, 6th round. We got to get him. We got to get him now.
Coach Mack always says there's a draft and there's a quarterback draft.
Yeah.
And they're two different things.
They're two different things, bro.
Yeah. Keeping up with the speaking of the draft order, Titans currently at 4. Bills came from behind 14-0. They lead the Patriots now 24-14. 3:36 to go. Patriots have the football. And the Raiders have regained the lead against Jacksonville. 7:12 to go in the 4th quarter. Raiders with the ball and a 19-14 lead over the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that would give the Raiders 3 wins and would push them down the chart.
Yeah.
Interesting. Going to be interesting to follow this next couple of weeks. When we come back, we'll talk about next week's game in Jacksonville. God help us all. 3HL is coming up tomorrow. I just did it again. Titans Talkback. Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, and Dr. Kevin Dyson, presented by Lee Company. We'll be right back. Titans Talkback, Brent Doherty, Zach Lyons, and Dr. Kevin Dyson. It is time for the Eurofix Look Ahead. Now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the Look Ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for more than 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Titans take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Jacksonville playing right now. Both teams have 3 wins. Jacksonville, of course, just beat the Titans. What do you think about this matchup? Another divisional game. As a former player, it's tough being on a team where you know that you're done basically, but you've got 2 more, and it is a divisional opponent, and there are personal battles that go on that field. Certainly, we learned that Brian Callahan does not think that this team is soft. And today, they fought hard. They're just not very good.
Well, you know what we know is crazy is knowing you only have 2 games left and you're out of the playoffs. But as we tell each other, or you tell a free agent, whatever, everybody gets this film. You don't know what's going to happen. We're talking about business right now, and potential quarterbacks and free agent moves and draft picks and draft status. We have no idea who's going to be a salary cap casualty, who's going to get traded in the offseason, maybe, if that even happens, what they're going, the status of some guys. Somebody might retire out the blue. You just don't never know. And so, and if I'm thinking of it as a player and maybe my salary cap number etches up into that gray area, I'd be thinking, I got to put on a show for a couple weeks because I might be getting traded. I might be getting released. I want to show people I can still play, so people are going to play now.
Yeah,
they still want to play.
Or fringe play, like you're saying, fringe players that may be somewhere else. You got to put stuff on tape.
You got to put stuff on tape.
I mean, Jacksonville's 10-16, or not 10-16, but last time they played, they won 10-6, and really because Will Levis couldn't hit guys that were open. So now you got Mason Rudolph, and this is the whole point of having Mason Rudolph, right, is that he can supposedly hit the guy, it runs on time and everything, and it's kind of hard to beat a divisional opponent 2 times in a row. The Colts just did it. But it does make me wonder if, this is a game that they're probably going to end up winning, and here's what's going to happen. New England is somehow going to win this game behind me. The Raiders are somehow going to win their game as well. And everything's looking good in draft world. And then the Titans are going to go out and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars next week. and ruin their draft
and
stock.
Go right back where it's going.
And ruin their draft stock, because that just seems like something the Tennessee Titans would do. In all honesty, I know a lot of people think that the Titans are the worst team in the league. They're the least competitive team. I've seen that narrative out there. I think there is a lot of competitiveness inside here. I just don't think they're that good. But I don't think they're the worst team in the league. I think they may have the most cloudy situation, but I don't think they're the worst team in the league. Like, at least the Jaguars can get Trevor Lawrence back, right? They'll probably fire Doug Peterson. So, there's not a lot of hope around this team.
Yeah.
It feels like. But I definitely think that when you look at it, they're not the worst team in the league right now.
Yeah, I think they're more dire straits than the Titans in a lot of respects.
The Giants are way worse than the Tennessee Titans.
The Jags are in more dire straits than the Titans because they're locked into that quarterback.
Yeah, and they're going to be having a new head coach, new regime. It's going to be, and they're going to go through maybe, let's say, get that lightning in a bottle. He comes in and immediately wins whoever they get.
But people who tell you this is the worst team in the league, I encourage you to watch other teams besides Tennessee Titans. Because if you watch the Tennessee Titans only, then yes, this would be the worst team in the league. Yeah. But if you watch some of these other teams, like the Giants, the Jaguars, even the Raiders, there are way worse teams than Tennessee. Yeah, well, I'd say Carolina's better.
Although the Jags did beat the Titans head-to-head.
Yeah.
But Raiders, Giants, those are your 2-win teams. Raiders lead the Jaguars 19-14. A minute 57 to go. Jaguars with the ball at their own 19. Patriots down 24-14 to the Bills. 2 minutes to go. Patriots with the ball on the Buffalo 4-yard line. So trying to get it in there, and then onside kick coming in that game. So there you go. Titans at Jags next week. Good luck, y'all. That's our look ahead presented by Eurofix. That's EurofixOnline.com. Any more positive nuggets?
I got a positive nugget for you.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am positive that Trey Lance is not a good NFL quarterback. And JB's not on the line anymore. But
I was getting ready to go to JB.
But I see it in our chat. So it's not a JB only thing. I'm not attacking JB. But guys, Trey Lance, nobody thinks that Trey Lance is a good quarterback in the NFL. Okay. We have seen evidence that he's not very good. I would take Levis over Trey Lance. That's how out I am on Trey Lance.
Wow.
Well, the Cowboys aren't even playing him.
Right. I mean, like, he can even beat out Cooper Rush.
Yes.
I mean, you can go read this book by Michael Silver, The Why is Everything, and it details everything about Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan said the worst thing that we did leading into that draft of where they drafted Trey Lance was actually trading up so early that he talked himself out of Mac Jones and got enamored with the hype, the athleticism of Trey Lance. And that mistake just totally did. Now, listen, they still got Brock Purdy, but obviously, he was a 7th round quarterback, but like he regrets that mistake.
Yeah.
One of the more revered offensive geniuses in the NFL is telling you Trey Lance is not good. I'm going to tell you something. Trey Lance is not good.
Didn't he get traded too? Or they let him go? They traded him.
They traded him to Dallas.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If they got picks out, never mind.
Yeah, they got pick out of him.
That's just crazy to me.
We just need to trade Will Levis to the Cowboys for a 4th round pick because, they traded Jonathan Mingo, traded a high pick for Jonathan Mingo, traded a high pick for Trey Lance. There you go. That's who we need to trade.
That does seem like a Cowboy kind of move, doesn't it? Will Levis with the arm. Jerry Jones would fall in love with that arm.
He would. You said the old Raider day with Al Davis back in the day.
You said the book was out on him. Speaking of books, Kevin Dyson has a book.
Oh, yeah. I do, man.
Qualified, so I am justified. Redefining success, where can people get the book? I know simply following you on Instagram, KT Dyson87.
Or KevinDyson.com.
KevinDyson.com.
Yeah, man, simply put, man. It was a long time in the making, man. It's one of the things you kept talking about, man, and you just spoken into existence, man. I wrote for a few years and I stopped, and it just kind of took form, took shape as things was happening, and personally, from a personal and professional standpoint, man. And I was like, man, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Just another one of those competitive challenges within yourself to see if you can do it, man. I wrote that whole thing myself, bro. The only thing I helped with was I had editing. So the next time I do one, it won't be the case. I'll probably have some help, but
have a ghostwriter,
have a ghostwriter or something like that. But I wrote every word.
Well, you have a tremendous story for sure.
Yeah,
with the NFL stuff, with the injuries and overcoming those challenges, and
it's in there. It's in there.
Yeah, and then getting your doctorate, which I know you worked really hard for that, obviously, and then your life and education.
Yeah, man, it's in there, and I talk about some of the things we talked about, even like, the stigma of being drafted before Randy. And, man, I tell people, man, I would just have to be in the conversation. I just wanted to play. And then, you have these hopes and you have the music miracle. Then all of a sudden I had the injuries, and then I come back, another injury, and come back, another injury. It wears on you. And you don't realize how much it wears on you until you can actually take time to reflect. During that process, I'm just going, trying to still ride that bike for that dream of becoming a Hall of Famer and win a Super Bowl and all the different things. And it wasn't a cards for me. So I talk a little bit about that journey too.
I bought it, so I'm going to read it. I just bought it right now while we were talking about it.
Oh, man. I appreciate it.
You say here, grab your copy. I'm going to.
Yeah.
Behind the historical plays, from the playing field to the principal's office, from NFL dreams to life lessons. Qualified, so I am justified. Kevin Dyson, KT Dyson87 on Insta, and KevinDyson.com. Pick up your copy today.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that. I just put it out today, man. It's been a work in progress, man.
Is that true? I was wondering why I hadn't seen it.
I literally did it like at halftime.
Oh, really?
I was at halftime working on the whole verbiage, that stuff. I'm not strong at that social media stuff, but yeah, I worked something out, man. Put it out halftime.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Some facts from today. Tony Pollard set his career high with 1,017 yards this season with 2 games to go. He hobbled off. He's been dealing with it looked like an ankle or something lately. He was questionable going in today, but
I think he's been the most valuable player on this team this year. Aside from Big Jeff and his leadership and his stability as far as being on that defense and being a voice for the team, to me, Pollard is the MVP of the team this year.
Yeah, I think I can't think of anybody besides maybe Amani Hooker that would even give him a chance for his running. But, I mean, the offense has lived and died by Tony Pollard for sure.
Yeah. You can throw NWI in there with the 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, I guess so.
NWI, another touchdown. Now has 9 touchdowns on. At the time, it was 9 on 24, and then he messed around, caught another ball that wasn't in the end zone. So it's 9 for 25.
So what's that? What'd you say, Jackson? 2.7 catches. Every 2.7 catches is a touchdown.
Approximate.
That was Jackson doing math in his head. 9 divided by 25 is 36% of his catches are touchdowns.
Wow. That's pretty good. I'll take them odds.
Hey, some positivity.
Yeah, how about that? Chig, 17 receptions the last 2 games. How about that?
What's that give him for the year? He's right on the 50s.
He's getting close to his career highs, right?
He's 7 receptions away from his career high. I had it in front of me earlier, Doc, but
my bad.
I let that one go. Patriots just scored, so minute 13 to go. Extra point pending. The extra point is good. 24-21 Buffalo. The onside kick is coming up. Raiders have the ball up 19-14 in Jacksonville territory with 51 seconds left, first down and 10. So it looks like the Raiders are going to jump into that mix of 3-win teams.
And they're going to be towards the back of it, too. That's even better. So let's get Las Vegas to the back.
And the reason there is strength of schedule.
Yes, their strength of schedule, because they have Kansas City counts twice on their strength of schedule. So what are they, like 13-1? Is that correct?
Kansas City is 14-1.
So that counts twice. So their strength of schedule goes up.
Wow. Y'all think Kansas City
that's great.
Is 14-1 good? Like, I know 14-1 is good. I didn't phrase that bad.
No,
are you surprised that they're 14-1? Because they don't look like a 14-1 team.
I will
exactly. But they're a good football team with that culture, and they find ways to win.
The game versus the Texans, they looked like the Kansas City of old.
Yeah, that's true. But you find ways to win a one-possession games.
I mean, Denver had that chip shot field goal, and they blocked it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just got to be good enough to win until you get to the Super Bowl.
At one point, they were like 1-7 against the spread in their previous 8 games, too. I don't know where they stand with that, but that means you're playing a lot of close games, that's for sure.
Yes.
Hey, appreciate you guys participating. Remember, listening to the Zone all day long. We'll have all the reaction to the college football and NFL stuff. Westwood One coverage of Tampa Bay at Dallas coming up at 6:30. How much time do I have left, Jackson? We're gone. Later.